This is the Stubborn German Podcast, coming to you from the beautiful, exciting, and always lively Stubborn German Brewing Company, and equally as lively as exciting Waterloo, Illinois. I'm Kevin Oste, joined by the proprietor of the Stubborn German, Mr. Chris Ryan.
Hello, Kevin. How are you?
I'm Dynamite. And Mr. Jerid Chasson, our esteemed producer.
Good evening.
And we have another Jerid as a special guest.
Yeah.
Mr. Jerid Saffel, welcome.
Oh, well, thank you. You know, anytime there's a bonus Jerid, it's got to be better, right?
That's right. 2 Jerids in this
Two Jerids are
episode.
better.
Hey, they
All
went, they,
Jerids
For
all
the
the time.
same price.
Yeah.
That's right.
they went to Jerid's.
Yeah. It's probably the only Jerid joke we can make.
Oh, there's a lot of Subway jokes in there.
Yes.
but let's not-
I was not going to go
yeah,
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Let's not get over that border.
$5.
Side note, I would say that the way that the 2 Jerids spell their names are the most unique ways to spell Jerid.
Yes.
Both of them.
Yeah, you
Because we
won't
have-
see these very often.
We have our Mr. Producer is
J-A-R-O-D.
J-A-R-O-D.
J-Rod.
J-Rod.
And Mr. Heavy Riff is J-E-R-I-D.
Wow.
I've got a few friends that are J-A-R-E-D.
Sometimes
And
you
that's
get
just
two
the way
R's.
R-R-O-D.
RROD is pretty
Yep.
common, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe your parents just didn't know how to spell Jerid.
I guess. I don't know.
I think we should run both their names together through the anagram server and see what we can create. But in the meantime,
It probably just spits out a felony or something.
for those who tune in to all these episodes, you're well aware that we like to start each show with the German word of the day, which is a nearly impossible to win competition.
Yeah.
Where Chris unfairly throws us words that we cannot pronounce or understand, and then laughs at us for getting them wrong.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Jerid, sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
No? 9?
9.
Yes.
He's a great parrot. We know that.
Deutsch. Do I speak
Sprechen
Do I
Sie- do you
speak
speak
German?
There
the
you
German,
go.
yeah. You do?
No.
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 But I
thank
figured
God.
out what the word was.
Well, you figured it out,
Yeah.
which is, I mean,
That's
pretty much half the
better than
battle.
most.
Yeah.
But that was not the actual
Yeah,
competition.
no, 9.
No, very good, though. But here's the actual word for
Okay.
this week. It is Sesselfurzer.
No, that was a baseball player. He played.
Sesselfurzer? He played first base for,
Yeah,
the,
for the Tigers.
He
Yeah.
pronounced it satchel.
The big man that hit it out upper deck a lot.
I don't
Had
think he was. I
had
don't
a
think he was.
son named Prince.
Yeah, I don't think he
Yes.
was German at all.
Sesselfurzer.
Well, we
What-
like to be polite on this podcast, Jerid, and let our guests go first.
Oh,
we would
boy.
be heels if we didn't.
All right. So
What do you think it means? Sesselfurzer. It's one word, by the way. Sesselfurzer.
Now, sometimes he contextualizes these with the guest or with the time of year. Other times he doesn't. So there's your
So good luck.
Other time he scrambles and goes, what does bucket mean?
pro tip right there.
I'm gonna go like brewing terminology and say like a centrifuge or something like that.
Centrifuge. Oh, very good.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Wow, that's insightful.
Well, Kevin, I feel like you really want to go next.
I really, boy, do I ever.
Cecil, can you pronounce it again?
Sesselfurzer.
Furger.
Sesselfurzer.
There's a Z in there, by the way.
Oh, in the beginning or the middle?
Furzer. Zer.
The zerp. Oh, well, then that changes everything.
Yeah, it's easier to
Do you
say if
need
you
to
have like a
change it?
mini stroke at the end of it. Virgin.
Furzer.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was trying to do.
All right. So I think Sesselfurzer is German for Frühlingsglage, which is a marketing term for overpriced ice cream that's supposed to be from a different country.
Oh, wow.
Are you
That's
kidding me?
awfully
I'm not
specific.
kidding you.
Okay, I'll type all that.
Don't you know if-
Can you please repeat?
Sesselfurzer is German for Frühlingsglage. You guys know what Frühlingsglage
No.
is? You never heard of Frühlingsglage? Well, even better. Then I sound smart.
Frozen yogurt.
There was in the 80s, there was a brand of ice cream called Frühlingsglage. And it was
Glage?
supposed to be this high-line, like, Nordic ice
Really?
cream that was really just Madison Avenue marketing BS, like Farfignugan, you know?
Okay.
And this is the German pronunciation of that.
That seems like probably what it is.
Okay, I wrote Frühlingsglage.
Yes.
Ice cream well marketed.
I guess so.
There you go. Yeah. Bougie ice cream.
Yes.
Oh, I should have wrote that. Okay, Jerid number 2.
Well, I don't have a big, long, detailed guess like Kevin. I'm just going to say mini fridge.
Mini fridge. Okay.
Mini fridge.
Ooh, like
I was
that.
going to say
that.
beer fridge, but then you go, what's the German word for beer? And here we are.
What's the word again?
Sesselfurzer.
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 Reach into the Sesselfurzer and grab me another Moosehead.
Grab me another ice cream.
Yeah, another Frusenglasser.
Another Frusenglasser. Oh, we have way too much fun with this.
Yeah. All right. Well, welcome, Mr. Jerid.
Hey, I'm happy to be here.
What's new in your world, my friend?
Well, it's been a pretty interesting past, year and a half. So I'm the founder and head brewer of Heavy Riff Brewing Company. We're over in Dogtown, not too far from the zoo. Spent the last year and a half working with my friends over at Second Shift Brewing, and just recently resumed my role of operations director, head of the brewery for Heavy Riff.
That's outstanding.
Yeah,
good for you.
It's been fun. It gave me a nice chance to learn from another great brewer, Steve. If anybody has met him,
Steve's the man.
He's a great guy.
Yep.
Just unique, interesting situation that had many ins and outs and not enough time for a program. But it was a good time to kind of step back from what I've been doing for the past basically 10 years and learn a couple of different things and, reevaluate what I was doing with my beer and our brand. And I'm happy to be back, and we're cruising, man.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So when you say step away and learn some new stuff, and in what direction did your horizons expand?
Yeah, so it was more with the planning and production. Second Shift's a little bit larger brewery than Heavy Riff by about 500 or 600 barrels, different size brew house, order from different vendors. So being thrown in the mix of that and kind of getting into a groove, understanding, learning their processes, and then taking that information and applying it to what I had already been doing at Heavy Riff previously to come up with, new insights and new ideas for beer production and where we source ingredients.
I think a lot of people, I don't know if it's not something that they don't realize, but they overlook the importance of a brewer is a project manager extraordinaire.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. It's an interesting job because when I started the brewery, I figured I'd be on the brew deck every day and doing production, and the reality is as the business continues to grow and you owe it to your employees to grow with the business, that your time is actually sometimes better spent working on the evolution of the business, not necessarily the product that you're making. So you got to hire great guys and gals to come in and make sure that those processes are being followed and that the beer's still tasting great.
Well said.
Yeah, for sure. So
that's good.
What do you do to ensure that the tribal knowledge is passed down and shared to the team?
That's it's hard for me. That's probably the most difficult part of me being in my role, is that at least I was told by the people who trained me that I was a very quick learner, and I'm not that well adept at understanding why someone doesn't know something. So
why would you not know this?
Yeah, so if and this is not indicative of any of the guys that I'm currently working with, but say the pH of the mash is a little high, I can grab some sort of an acid or whatever you use to lower your pH, and I can adjust that just by looking at how much I put in from the bottle. I don't need to measure out 100 milliliters or 200 milliliters. And when they ask me, well, how much? I'm like, I should actually probably write that down. So I'm getting better at that portion of it, which you have to do because you need a very consistent product. Heavy Riff started as just a pub with limited distribution, but now we just picked up a fourth distributor. We're in multiple states. So
nice.
We owe it to our fans out there to continue to make very consistent, good quality beer.
That's awesome. Where are y'all distributed now?
So we are in almost all of Illinois except for basically Chicago north, and then up through Kansas City, all of Missouri.
Sweet.
Yeah, so I'm continuing to look into other markets for
Nice.
sure. But yeah, we just signed on our fourth distributor, and we're very excited about it. And,
that's awesome.
And praying that we can, keep up with production.
So is the new one like North Illinois or?
Yeah,
gotcha.
Not up to Chicago, but kind of more that
sure,
that other side of Terry. Yeah.
Very cool.
I think what you're experiencing is that everybody's different.
Absolutely,
and everybody has different backgrounds,
right.
And they know different stuff.
Yeah, and everyone's growth is different. The unique thing is when we'll just call it my sabbatical from Heavy Riff. When I went over to work with Second Shift for the year and a half that I did, two of the guys that were hired while I was absent had also worked at Missouri Beer Company, which was owned by Dave Johnson. Dave is a stalwart of the St. Louis area. He's brewed in a lot of different places and gave me one of my first starts. So they're still from my brewing lineage, which is kind of
cool.
unique. And
that's awesome.
You know, but even the looking at how Dave taught them and versus how I was taught, 10 plus years ago, things have changed even for him. And it's like, man, it really is an ever evolving art to continue to produce a really good beer and good product. And in this climate right now with, costs as high as they are, to also try and do it at the best possible cost that
margins.
You can. I hate it. I hate talking about margins, but they're a very real thing. I mean, all of us would love to put $1,000 worth of hops into every batch, but the reality is that for most of us that's just not possible. So
exactly,
you always put out the best product you can. But when you're a brewery owner, you want to go, all right, well, how do we make money? That becomes important.
Well, that allows you to come back and brew more beer.
Yeah, which is why most breweries do. Not all. I can't speak for everybody or even us all the time. But you do blended margins. You make beers that have a higher percentage of profit, so you can continue to make ones that don't. Most IPAs are not a super profitable beverage. You need something that's kind of lighter and easier going, that's quick turnaround in your tanks, that actually continues to bring.
That's why a brewery has their blonde ale or their cream ale or something like that. That is a quick turn, cheap, easy.
Pumpkin spice.
Pumpkin spice.
For us, it's Love Gun, but the cost of the vanilla is expensive,
right?
Because we don't use a bunch of artificial vanilla. I hate that flavor so much. It's other people love it, and that's great. Do your thing for sure, but it's not for me. If I'm going to drink a beer with vanilla, I want to taste really good vanilla. Yeah.
So it's an expensive beer. Yeah.
It's a little more expensive than if we just made a cream ale.
Sure. Yeah. For sure.
But it goes through the system relatively quickly, and people really like it. It was not. I mean, I knew it would be a pretty big beer for us to be successful, but it's taken off, bigger than my wildest dreams could be.
I mean, is that your top seller?
Oh, by far.
Okay,
absolutely.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, by far. In the pub, it changes a little bit. Love Gun's still usually number one, but we've got a light American lager that's usually right there, and then we've got a plethora of IPAs, and if you blend those together, that the volume becomes a little different.
Sure.
But we have 36 taps, so we're always putting
something different on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And you said you started as a pub. How do you go from a pub to buying brew tanks and doing it yourself? And
the pub, we had the pub system. So the small tanks, if you go into Heavy Riff, you'll see 3 tanks in the window, and then there's one that you can't see. And those came from Mattingly Brewing Company, which is a brewery that was where I got my first start in 2008 or 9, I think 8. I knew this guy named Drew Herder who brewed at a bunch of different places as well around town. He was the night brewer for Schlafly. He had worked at Morgan Street, and he got the job to be the brewer at this little tiny pub. I mean, it was a barrel and a half system, and we brewed 3 times to fill these fermenters. It was very labor intensive. But when we decided to start the brewery, I knew that equipment was still sitting in the basement not being used, and we were able to buy it at a good deal. And it's kind of cool because, I've literally been using these tanks my entire career.
Yeah.
But before we got the brewery open, we were having to, I guess you call it partner brewing. It wasn't really contract brewing, but we were working with Charleville and at the time Excel Brewing, and I would go out to these breweries and I would brew myself. So they cut us a deal by having me do the labor. But at Excel, it was a 20-barrel system. And for a pub, we just didn't need 20 barrels of beer. So we ended up actually starting almost with distribution immediately just for 2 beers.
Just to pass off half of that batch or whatever.
Yeah, that way we didn't have to serve old beer.
Right.
And it brought a lot of people to the pub, which was great. When we finally got the brew house going, we brought everything inside, and those guys were great. It was fantastic. But being able to brew the beer how I wanted with my specs, my water profile, all that kind of stuff, really propelled us. And at that point, we were maxing out what we could produce. So we started we'll bring in a few 10-barrel tanks because we have a 5-barrel brew house, and we brought in a couple of other 10-barrel tanks. And then while I was on my sabbatical, they were working with O'Fallon, which is going through a lot of its own troubles right now.
Sure.
And then that wasn't working out, so they bought 2 20-barrel fermenters just for Love Gun. So
wow.
we package we package and brew Love
Gun.
Gun,
Big Love Gun, man.
every single week. Velvet pretty much too, but it's 2-to-1 Love Gun
to Velvet
Underbrown.
Underbrown.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Speaking of, Should we sample?
We can sample anything you
All
like.
right.
Yeah, I brought a couple of treats.
There we go.
There's tasty treats here. Let's do that.
For sure. Have to have a little bit of insight on what you speak.
Yeah. So Velvet Underground is a very unique beer. I have fully admitted from the beginning that dark beers are not usually my go-to. I'm more of a hop head. I love good classic European lagers. So I needed a beer that I could satiate, the dark beer fan who would come in without having to have a ton of stouts and all that. So it's sort of a milk stout without the roast. So 6.5% pale malt, dark chocolate, Vireman, carafa malt, some oats and lactose, and it's really just a smooth, creamy beer. It's so close to being a milk stout without being a milk stout, and then it's almost a brown, but it's too rich for being a brown, so it became Velvet Underground. We really like it. We enjoy it a lot. It takes the vanilla coffee version, which we don't have today to sample, is still on. And I'm not the biggest Untapped guy. Most brewers aren't, but Untapped has the vanilla coffee version is still rated as the number one brown in the world.
Nice.
So we're
awesome.
really proud of that. It's been that way for a couple of years now.
I mean, yeah, I know because I look at my app all the time and I check.
I really hope you're lying.
Yeah. This is really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. This is a great beer. I remember being at what was it? Flying Saucer back in the day before a Cardinals game, and I'm like, give me some Underground. And I text Jerid, and he's like, dude, next time you go up there, you got to call me.
Yeah, I'd come join you for a pint, man.
But yeah, this has been one of my favorites for a long time. Civil Life Brown is just another brown that is amazing in the city of St. Louis. We're blessed to have a couple really awesome
and it's
brown beer
shocking
breweries.
how different they are.
Oh, yeah.
Civil Life is a real classic American brown. Excuse me. I've had meetings all day, so my voice is kind of shot. It's a classic American brown with I think it has a little bit of American hops in it too. And it's like 5%. It's a little roasty. It's what if someone says, "Hey, here's a brown ale," that's exactly what it
right.
With Velvet. Not that it needs to be explained, but it's stronger, it's sweeter, it's borders on kind of being a milk stout, which I think most of our customers have really come to enjoy. But yeah, it's great when you can find good browns around town. They're underrated. They really are.
All the time. And
great flavor.
I mean, I'll drink them in the summertime. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There's no season for a brown ale.
No, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, this is smooth, creamy. I feel like if you aren't normally into browns, whatever that is, this doesn't have, this is good for people that might not like a brown.
Who wouldn't like a brown, Jerid?
I mean, there's people that don't like
Jerid
dark beer.
doesn't like dark beer.
I don't typically drink dark beers. I don't hate dark beers. I just typically don't drink them. When I go,
the Jerids are bonding over there.
When I go up there and I see, you've got a really nice pale ale on tap, or you've got a nice German alt beer. That's just where I tend to go.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
that's
for sure.
That's my thing. And that's one thing's really cool about having 36 taps is we cover classic styles.
Yeah.
All the way through barrel aged. I brought a barrel aged beer, spiced beers, sours.
To sours to crazy stuff.
It's really cool
flavors.
to be able to do that for sure.
That's awesome. I mean, I've noticed that just with our going from what did we have 12 to 16, then to 18. It's like every time you add that, that's usually not like another traditional beer. It's usually something weird or off the wall that you're not really comfortable with, and you get to kind of number one, create something new or different, and then number two, it's just a different. And like a brand kind of expansion, I guess.
Extension.
Extension.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah. So
it's like Frusenglaser.
So
it's
maybe
just like Frusenglaser.
Maybe this is obvious to the fans of Heavy Riff or just people that have been listening to this episode. The names of the beers seem to have a theme.
Oh yeah,
right.
Indeed.
So.
Indeed.
What kind of effort goes in to come up with your names of your beers?
It's the hardest.
It's all rock and roll to me, man.
It seems like it's the easiest thing. Just listen to any song, you'll find.
Are you serious? It's hard?
Oh, it's difficult. I mean, most of the time, I end up working backwards. I'll listen to a song or hear a song, and I catch something that I like,
find a lyric or something,
and then I work backwards from that.
What beer can I make with this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. You should play it backwards.
A good example that we haven't brewed it in a couple years, but we were at some bar having lunch, and Tone Loc came on,
Nice.
funky cold Medina. So I had just gotten some sour stuff, and I was looking to play around, and so we did Funky Gold Mandarina.
Nice.
So it had Mandarina Bavaria hops and orange, and made it sour, and so that works better for me. I'm somehow able to work in that realm much easier.
That's why I would think it would almost be easier to just.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're always listening to music anyway.
We are, yeah.
Right. It's like, anything I hear could be a beer name.
Oh, and I've got lists on my phone, of things, snippets of songs here and there, and going, this would be a good beer idea with no context. I'm like,
right.
How hammered were you when you put that in your phone?
When you thought
I don't remember
E
this at all.
MC hammered would be a good beer.
There you go. Well, I think part of being in this business is being a punster.
Oh, absolutely,
and coming up with all the wordsmithing.
I kind of go back and forth because sometimes it is really nice to walk into a small brewery somewhere and it's just called, say it's called Bay Street Brewing. It's got Bay Street Pale Ale, Bay Street Stout.
Right,
it's like, I know exactly what's happening.
Right.
But other times you go, this is Broken Door Pilsner. What? Why is it Broken Door?
What kind of Pilsner is a Broken Door Pilsner?
I don't know.
Right,
we have to watch that on some of ours. It's like I always have to remember to make sure in the logo somewhere it explains what kind of beer it is. Because for a while I was like, what is, whatever. Steve Swingin'. What is Steve Swingin'?
That's for his wife
Belgian
to know.
triple.
Yes.
That's right. Give me a tall zombie shorts.
Well, I'm always amazed every year when we do like a recap episode or a tournament-style episode with Chris's Stubborn German Beers, just how many there are for the year.
Yeah.
You forget that there's 57 beers or whatever that you come up with. Well, you've got to name all of those after a musical theme as opposed to whatever, Stubborn German can come up with. So.
I would think that would, I don't know.
I think there's more opportunities there.
There are, but you're also limited to just music or rock or whatever.
But I think the opportunities, they're there, but good ones,
I'm sure good ones are tough. Yeah. You could, but you could go like deep dive. You could, name it like a Pearl Jam name of a song. Like, well, this has nothing to do with the song, but here's
this is named after Eddie Vedder's dog.
we go back and forth with that, quite a bit. The main two guys that I work with, Rick and Greg, my business partners, they both really love old punk. Yeah, and I admit that most of it's not for me. I prefer my music and pop punk and we have mutual respect. Like, we'll name some things here and there, but sometimes they'll throw it out like, what is that? What band is that even? Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. I've been listening to them for years. Where have you been?
Oh, you don't know them?
Yeah.
Now, a particularly fun name was the Du Hops Misch,
which
is apparently a collaboration beer, right?
Indeed. One of my favorite collabs we've done.
How did that take off?
I thought of the names Du Hops Misch. I knew my buddy had a German brewery. Gave him a call and said we should make it happen.
Easy enough.
It was pretty easy.
Pretty simple.
Dunzo.
You're into Rammstein? Oh my God, so am I.
Well, and right about that time, we were starting to get some fun hops from Germany that hadn't existed.
Yes.
Typically, German hops are distinctly sharp, herbal, very light citrus, the noble character that everybody talks about. And they started releasing some that had some really interesting fruit character. And I'd played with a couple in a pale ale, and I think Chris was playing with a few of them as well, and just figured that they would really mesh well in a, at the time, which was going crazy, was everything became hazy overnight. All of a sudden, if it wasn't hazy, you couldn't even sell it.
Right.
And we were, both of our breweries were kind of dipping our toes into the haze stuff. I'd done a few more than Chris had.
You've done way more than me.
Yeah, well, at this point, I've done a hell of a lot more, for sure. So it just worked out as a really nice collab. We loved the name, and we had the hops on hand, and Chris grows up his own yeast. So we did the first batch here at Stubborn. The second batch we did at Heavy Riff.
Yep.
Then you did one more small batch.
I did, I think, one more.
Yeah.
So later on.
Yeah, so tomorrow will be the fourth iteration, and we're hoping probably this summer that we'll be able to have Chris come out and we'll brew a version of it over our place. It's just, right now with coming back and trying to get caught up with distribution with this fourth distributor, it's just tough to find tank space. We're going to find it, though. We're going to make it happen.
Cool.
Yeah.
Kevin's eyeballing another can here. What do we got?
Oh, that looks like the Runnin' Riot.
This is the Runnin' Riot, yeah.
That's one of our clear IPAs.
I love clear IPA. I mean, I love hazy IPA. I don't care what color or the clarity level of my IPA. I do love clear IPA.
I tend to prefer the clear side of the hoppy scene simply because I appreciate the bitterness.
Yeah.
Not everyone does, and I see why the hazies are so popular.
It's almost nostalgic for me, too, though.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
IPAs are supposed to be bitter and kind of like, whoa, man, that's some bitterness there. Like, they put some hops in it, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the juicy stuff and the hazies. That's all fun, but...
The most interesting thing about learning to do the hazies was really getting an even better understanding of water chemistry and how to make those beers properly, getting them to go through biotransformation.
Right.
Now doing, adding hops in the mash with these non-GMO yeasts that are out there
right.
that really give you beautiful flavors because they go through, thiolization. And so that part's super fun. But pour you some here. Yeah.
I can't help but notice your clear IPA isn't like Pepsi Clear.
No, we don't.
What makes it a clear IPA?
Well,
it's clear.
There's no discernible haze. There's no
Haze,
yeast.
yeah.
There's no yeast hanging around.
Yeah. Yep.
What you're seeing on there is chill haze, which is common. It's not.
And we also didn't rinse our glass from the brown.
The brown.
That's
Oh yeah,
true,
there's
too,
a little
yeah.
brown hanging around.
You have an impolite host that didn't give you new glassware.
Well,
Sorry.
Do as we say, wash your glass, not as we do.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I was digging the artwork on the can.
Oh, thank you.
Oh
yeah,
it's a
Yeah.
busy artwork.
We have
There's a lot going on.
We have an amazing artist. He does concert posters, has done a ton of concert posters and a lot of other commercial work, and he loves music as well and does a really great job.
So he gets it. Yeah.
Yeah, he really does. He really gets the artwork and what we're going for. We're not easy to please when it comes to that stuff. The can starts as how you taste the beer.
For sure.
And if it's not fun, you're not going to buy it. And,
Yep.
a music-themed brewery, let me go back. This is me personally. I think that there can be too many people who take music way too seriously.
Yes.
Music should be fun and music should be universal because everyone can find joy in it. So I kind of feel that way about the can art.
It should be
fun.
similar, yeah.
It should be fun
Yeah.
and interesting.
And this particular one, you've got a bunch of punk slam dancers having a time on the can.
They are indeed.
There's another beer name. Having a time on the can.
That comes after too many lactose beers.
Right.
Yeah.
But it reminded
I'm gonna
me
write that
of
one
an artist that. So I'm a car fan, right? So when I was a kid, I used to read this magazine called Cartoons Magazine.
Okay.
One of the artists was a gal that grew up in California named Sean Carey. And in the late 70s, early 80s, penned the original Circle Jerks guy.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I see the
Very
influence
cool.
on your can
Yep.
of the original Circle Jerks.
Oh, no way.
Dude, yeah. And it was interesting to be a little kid seeing her other artwork, which was far more mundane and car stuff, to see the slam dance and further than that. So it was neat.
Absolutely.
Just had a thing there.
Well, that's one of the great
That's
things
crazy.
about music. I mean, how many times you hear a song and it brings you back to a memory that you associate. Anytime I hear Bob Seger, it reminds me of driving in my dad's pickup when I was really, really young. And that will never fade. That stuff's great.
It's like a rock.
Yeah, really. See what you did there.
It's like a rock. Got it. Kevin, is that the first thing that came up whenever you Googled Circle Jerks?
I think he has safe search on.
You have to put your
good.
filter on. Yeah.
I didn't Google Circle Jerks. I went to Sean Carey's Instagram account, which is a lot
Anyway.
safer.
Probably smarter.
Yes.
So
For
do
the
you-
children listening.
Just checking.
Do you have one artist that you use, or do you shop around a few?
It's mostly one artist. My best friend Josh did our main logo, the kind of the paint splash bottle cap logo, and he's done a few others for us. He's a great artist, but he's got a newborn baby, and he works very methodically. So if I go, hey man, in 3 months we're probably going to release this beer and give him some ideas, he'll come up with a can label for us, which is great. But he's not on retainer,
Yeah,
so
okay.
it's mostly just one artist.
Cool. Which is also what Chris does here. They've got one guy, right?
Yeah.
That does everything.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
But as a freelance capacity.
Not pretty much. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's a good way to
He's
put it.
not employed by the brewery. This beer is amazing.
It
Thank
is.
you.
It's very
Yeah.
good.
That's Citra and Centennial with a little Chinook in the dry hop.
Gotcha. I
Yeah.
was thinking kind of traditional hops. That's It's
Well, I was
everything
gonna
I would
say,
expect in a clear IPA.
It's got that citrus flavor without being the over-the-top grapefruit,
Yeah.
man, this is a...
Citra Cascade Chinook. Yes. Yes. Sometimes I'll say Centennial and I mean Cascade or vice versa. And they're pretty similar, but it's
no, I gotcha.
I'll try to get the information out there correct.
Right. We want everyone
man
to
of my
know.
word,
They try to clone this beer.
So, speaking of trying to clone this beer, you might try to do that at home. Did you get your start in the homebrew?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah?
Beer cloning racket?
Right. Yeah. How can I make Budweiser?
Back when we were cloning beers.
I think I can do this.
Yeah.
2005, driving by a little place called Worms Way. It was a hydroponic shop that had a really small amount of homebrewing stuff in the back. And myself and a buddy were driving by, and a mutual friend of ours who was away at school in Columbia was brewing his own beer. And we're like, got nothing to do. $40. Swerved on in there, bought the old kit, bought an Oktoberfest kit because I didn't know how to make lager.
Of course.
Still don't really know how to make lager. Don't tell anybody that. And made the first batch and was completely hooked. Got involved with a couple of the homebrew clubs around town, and then, during my various jaunts back and forth between what I'll call the real world and the brewing world, I ended up working at St. Louis Wine and Beer Making for a couple of years. I'm actually still technically an employee. I've never quit, and I've never been let
you go.
Completely fired. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I still have a key to the place for crying out loud. Which came in handy because my buddy Dave, who's the owner and proprietor, broke his leg 2 years ago, and I stepped in for about 4 months while he was gone, just brewing their beer for him. So it worked out well.
Awesome.
Yeah, the shop's always been there for me. I'm there for them. But yeah, it started as homebrewing, became an obsession, started taking beer vacations, starting using all of my vacation and personal days to stay home and brew or prepare for festivals.
So when I take a beer vacation, I stay home and drink beer.
This is going to be a beer vacation.
Yeah. I'm not saying that drinking didn't
Just
go
becomes
on.
a staycation. You got no choice.
Yeah.
Right.
But, Chris can probably testify to this. Most brewers, even guys who are very active, they brew once or twice a month. I was brewing 4 times a week.
Oh, wow.
Listening to every podcast that the Brewing Network put on.
Nice.
I forget all the other podcasts and places to learn. But anywhere
Stubborn German podcast.
That's one.
Well, now,
what about
absolutely.
this one?
It's the premier stop to learn how to make beer.
That's what I've been told.
Yeah. So that became my education. I was doing programming work, but every day I would start out with, Howard Stern was how I started the day. But then as soon as Howard was over, then it went into nothing but podcasts that I would listen to relentlessly over and over and over and over and over again, just to learn. And at this point, I think I've probbe forgotten most of it. Unfortunately, you get in a rhythm.
But you've hung on to what works.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the thing I'll say is that a lot of people who are homebrewers who step into the pro world with no experience, man, that's a tough thing to do. I got really lucky that I wanted to go in, knew I wanted to own a brewery at some point, but got that middle ground to work for other places and learn how to actually do this. Because, man, there's a void now. It's breweries who know how to make beer and breweries who don't really know how to make beer.
Right.
And it's a problem in our industry right now. It really is.
And people, for sure.
People are weeding them out. And in this direct area, we're very lucky. We don't have breweries going out of business.
That's an interesting point. So, how common is it that a local brewery opens up and they don't know what they're doing?
Oh, all the time.
Really?
All the time.
You just take it for granted when you go drink it that these guys must know what they're doing.
You don't see that here. There's so many brewers who are kind that will let you come and shadow them and learn from them and are willing to give advice because we want to see us all succeed.
Exactly. And the first sniff of any kind of issues or problems, there's usually some kind of behind the scenes messaging going on,
right.
like hey, if you need a little help with whatever.
Really? Yeah.
Well, no, honestly,
that backdoor chat of
don't tell me when you have an issue with something.
I just got a text from anonymous master brewer.
Jared literally came in here one day and said this beer you might want to check. There seems a little off. I'm not really sure, but
something
whatever.
Right.
It wasn't terrible, but something you need to check it.
Because I know Chris's standards, and it could have been just one keg.
Yeah. It was literally an old keg. I believe that was the situation on that one. A different batch. One keg got snuck in, and it's just that one was stuck on the bottom, and here it is. Now it got on tap. So, It shouldn't have been. It should have been dumped, or it should have been poured through a long time ago.
But that is outstanding on so many levels. That you took the time to go, hey, dude,
absolutely.
I think something might be off a little bit.
Well, and he could have not done that
For sure. And then you have a whole bunch of unhappy people.
Exactly.
And you gotta have the right tact. You don't just call or text someone and go, oh man, your beer's complete garbage.
Yeah.
What are you doing nowadays? No, I'm like, hey man, I've had this beer a lot, and I don't think this one is right.
Yeah.
Either I need a new tongue or something changed.
I think that's exactly what he said. Either my tongue is broken, but if your beer is junk.
I just got back traveling down to the Gulf Shores area, which was a wonderful trip. Legal craft breweries are not that new down there. Like 2008 for Alabama, I think, in 2009, 10 for Mississippi. I could be wrong. And there was a lot of good beer, don't get me wrong, but we had a couple rough and tumble.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think it's interesting because sometimes I wonder if I'm just not that sophisticated. And, I'm at some place, and it's a great-looking place, and everybody's having a great time, and I'm drinking something. I'm like, I'm not getting it.
So it's that weird placebo effect. So if you walk in, say you're on vacation in the Gulf Shores, and you're down looking at the water, and you're with your significant other, and you're having a great time, and the place is busy, and people are ordering beers, and they're enjoying them. Part of that is because they're on vacation,
right? And
they're just happy to be wherever it is they are, overlooking the ocean with a beer. But if they had that at home, they might go, "Ooh, this isn't my favorite thing."
Yeah.
I've only found that really in heavy touristy areas, but I've stopped at some breweries in the more rural parts of Colorado, driving through. And I'm like, man, this is not what you think of when you think of Colorado
beer. Really?
Yeah, interesting.
I always think that, like for Florida, Yuengling is a great example of that. Everyone, you go to Florida, and I've heard it a million times. Oh yeah, I go to Florida, I get some Yuengling and sit on the beach and we drink Yuengling, and it's like, yeah, no, I do the same thing. I love sitting on the beach in Florida drinking Yuengling, but when I have it here, it's just not the same because it's just the beer, and the beer is
not
fine.
The beach.
It's not bad beer, but it's not. Yeah. There's no beach.
I can even equate that to one of my favorite breweries of all time. One of the breweries I respect the most, which is New Glarus.
Yeah.
You go up to Wisconsin, go to any bar, and you grab yourself a Spotted Cow. Like, man, this is really good. I wish this was our regular staple light beer.
Yeah.
And then you get a case and you take it home, and like 6 or 7, and you're like, this really isn't that special. It's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
It's just fine.
But when I'm on vacation up there, it tastes like $1 million bucks, and you're just like, oh, it's a good beer.
Right.
I think back when you couldn't get Yuengling in Missouri, I think you still can't in Illinois, right? So, I knew so many people that would, if somebody was going to Indiana or wherever east, bring me back some Yuengling, okay, and they'd come back with a case of Yuengling for their buddies or whatever.
Like the special,
it was, but now that you can get it in Missouri, it's like, well,
my dad used to talk about that about Coors as well. Coors was not available here.
Right. Yeah.
They're like, oh, someone was going to Kansas or farther, like, you got to bring back Coors.
Yeah.
It was a big deal.
Yeah,
it is neat.
It's about what you can't get regularly. The absence makes the heart grow fonder, I guess.
Well, and it's something special, and you might suspend a little bit of the quality of it to have that experience.
I will say, in the case of New Glarus, though, and I still do like Spotted Cow, they might be the best brewery in the country and one of the top 10 in the world, because they make
I would agree with that.
Pretty much just outstanding everything.
When's the last time you had a bad beer from New Glarus?
Never.
Yeah, never.
They're always exceptional. Like wow, they killed it. Yeah, they're great.
My buddy has a summer home just down the road from New Glarus.
Can't beat that.
So we'd go up there and be on the boat all weekend on the lake and barbecuing, and New Glarus, tap
awesome.
water, and it just adds that whole experience.
Sure.
So it scores high marks. But I think part of what I'm gathering is the availability and the technology and the resources like the podcast and everything else are basically allowing anybody the opportunity to brew. And just because you can doesn't mean it's good.
You can, and there was a plethora of equipment that has been on sale, and some people are starting breweries with really small systems. I helped open a nano brewery here for a friend of mine at the time. That's the other part of it. A lot of times in the super small breweries, as you're traveling, is that it's one guy, and he's paying the bills, he's bartending, he's brewing, and
right.
And it's hard to really focus all of your attention to being really good at one of those things if you're trying to do all those things.
That's true with any business.
And the jump also that, I'll give any business, a restaurant, whatever, 3 chances. If I have a bad experience the first time, could have been a bad night. Second time, maybe I don't like it. Third time, this just isn't for me.
Right.
Interesting.
And, yeah. Because you never know, because a year from now, I could drive through that same little town in Colorado, stop by, and the beer might be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Maybe the guy got a full-time bartender. Now he's doing all the brewing. Maybe he's figured his system out better. Maybe he knows his recipes better.
I've learned that a lot in the bourbon end of things. So some of these little brands that I just kind of passed off because I've tried it one time, and it was like 2-year-old bourbon, and it was just not delicious and kind of weird packaging or whatever. not a good story. Like they just didn't have their stuff together, and it's like now here it is 2, 3, 4 years after that, and it's like, well, now we've literally got 6-year-old bourbon that tastes good. They're focused. They're like, oh, okay, well, not that I was wrong then, but you do need to kind of check back up on businesses after a while. If they're still open, I mean, there's a reason they're still open.
They're probably getting better.
They're probably getting better. They're figuring something out. Yeah.
Yeah, now, the bourbon end of things is interesting right now because a lot of the small distilleries that want to produce bourbon are rushing them, or they don't have enough barrels to where they can blend or afford to get rid of a bad barrel.
Yeah.
That has been my experience.
Yeah, you're not going to just dump a barrel of anything down the drain.
Because you're looking at it,
figure out a way to do something with it, or blend it in small quantities to all your batches or whatever.
Sure.
I mean, you don't dump out bourbon.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned you briefly mentioned, and Chris discussed it in our pre-podcast notes that he always sends out. And that there
you got those?
right.
You did too, Kevin.
I did.
That there's maybe been a tough time in the craft brewing business lately for some breweries.
I mean, last year was kind of a dip, and I mean, you could probably speak to it too. But I mean, we noticed it just on our books. It's definitely wasn't. So coming out of COVID, everybody was just gangbusters, So I mean, you couldn't make enough beer.
Yeah.
And then last year I feel like we were kind of tapering back, or leveling off. Is
normalizing.
How I would say, normalizing is a good way to say it.
The experience I can give for that was that the year and a half that I was with the folks at Second Shift, and they've released all these products. I'm not giving away anything. They started to diversify the portfolio into including root beer. They do a lime soda. They were working, I think they're still working with I forget the name. The guys who do the THC water, I forget.
Ooh, I don't know.
Well-being?
Well-being? Is that...
No, it's not Well-being. They make beer. Gosh darn it. I can't remember.
Okay.
I feel bad now because I worked with those guys for a while. But they're helping make their hard seltzers.
They don't listen.
Fair enough. So, there is a very pressing need for especially for distributing breweries to diversify not just beer. We're in a weird position because we have a new generation of drinkers who grew up with those years in the COVID era. They don't know what it's like to go to a bar and sit down and drink. They got beer to go and sat in the backyard. Their culture is different. We have legal THC. We've never really experienced that before. We have more and more people choosing NA options and people that are not bound by any creed to drink a specific thing. They might come in, Chris's place one night and drink down a bottle of bourbon. And then the next night they might come in and have, a wheat beer. And then they might not be back for 3 months. There's no consistency in the product there, and it's
interesting.
Well, it makes it a nightmare to try to track and figure out how to market to those people. And
I
don't know what you want.
At Every Riff, we do hard seltzers and we do cider. We're not doing any other alternative beverages at the moment.
Gotcha.
So it's still all malt based and fermented and all that.
Sure.
And, everyone does whatever they're going to do. A lot of the breweries have diversified to doing some NA stuff. We're looking into NA. There's a lot of different ways to go about it. I'm not sure how I want to approach it yet.
Yeah.
And also just kind of feeling out how this goes. It's always this way this time of year. Everyone's doing their New Year's resolutions, drinking a little less. Do you start test batching and spending the money on the R&D? We probably will at some point. So no matter what, we at least have that recipe in our pocket. But we haven't
to pull out for next January.
Yeah. But we haven't moved on it yet. We'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
we're not opposed to anything.
Everything is on the table,
except for making bad beer. We don't do that. That's the
not
only thing.
going to do that.
And we will continue, no matter what, to be primarily we are a brewery, and
sure,
and we're a local brewery to Dogtown in St. Louis. That will never change. Our focus is to sell, lots of Underbrown and Love Gun and make people happy.
Crap loads of Irish Red at the parade.
Oh, St. Patrick's Day. Yep. Yeah. We were discussing that today, where we're going to try and fit in the Irish Red.
How's that all going to go?
Oh yeah. Luckily, it's about a 10-day turnaround beer, but it's every
nice.
year we get in the crunch time, because that's that small spot. Just after the winter seasons are gone, we got like this small amount of time to get that done, and then right into your spring, and summer lineup.
Spring, summer stuff. Yep, here we go.
That's cool. All right, so for somebody listening who's never been to your brewery, what's the pro tip? What's the cool thing to know when they walk in? I know there was a bar in Chicago that has a sandwich that's not on the menu. When you walk in, if you order that, you're the cool guy. It's called the Castillo. So is there any insider thing
Order
you'd
the
say?
Castillo and heavy red.
We're really kind of low key. The patio is phenomenal. If you can come out, and sit on the patio, it's semi-enclosed. We've got fans. We've always got good music out there. We've got 4 or 5 TVs with various games on and all that. So the super pro move is come there on, for me, on a Sunday afternoon or a Saturday afternoon to grab a sandwich. We do our own barbecue. Our corned beef and turkey are my favorites. They're absolutely top notch. You get a corned beef or a turkey Reuben. Absolutely love them.
Nice.
They're phenomenal. Really like all of our food in general, but we're moving towards where we can do flights of various things. So we're hoping to have enough lagers on tap by the summer, so you can do a lager flight.
Oh, sweet.
You can do a dark beer flight. You can do a hoppy flight.
Awesome.
Because with 36 taps, there's no reason not to
be able to do that.
To be able to do that. So we're working towards that.
Yeah, come on, knock that out.
So that's it. says the lager brewer.
Yeah, I really like that idea of a lager flight and a Reuben. And it's funny you mentioned the Reuben. 2 days ago, I was coming back from a ski college guys weekend in Colorado, and we stopped in Idaho Springs at Tommy Knockers, which is a...
Yep, I've been there.
Sweet. Yeah. You've been there?
I haven't been there, but I've heard of it. I think
we've maybe talked about it before, because that's always our stop.
I have a small tidbit on that. The guy who was running Tommy Knocker for many, many years only works for Chris, probably, and the 7 guys who remember. But when Kirkwood Station... Brewing was there.
Yep.
The guy who was running Tommy Knocker is the one who actually set up and designed the brew house at Kirkwood Station.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. It's the weird little things, no one else cares. I'm
Interesting.
sorry.
Well, a small world in the beer side. That's cool.
Did he have the 2x4 that was for the stuck mash, the stick? Wasn't that at Kirkwood Station?
Later on, as the equipment deteriorated and ultimately went out of business, I don't know. But I was there.
I remember the stick. I was like, damn.
I was there when it was called Highlands Brewing. It was luckily the Kirkwood Station was well past, and it's now a Mission Taco. The building is, and it's wonderful.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's
I didn't know that.
It's wonderful.
I love Mission Taco.
It's bigger. It's easy to sit and get food. Yeah,
that's cool.
Awesome. Yeah.
Well, the reason why I brought that up is Tommy Knocker had a Dynamite Reuben on the menu that they've taken off.
Oh, wow.
Interesting. But you can still get it?
Well, we didn't ask, but there was 3 of us that all wanted it at that moment, because it's a good sandwich with beer. It just is.
So what I'm
come try yours.
What I'm hearing is we need to go on remote and record an episode at the patio
for
Heavy
sure.
Riff.
Yeah,
let's do it.
That'll be fun.
I am totally hearing that.
Yes.
Okay,
Saturday afternoon
when we brew do hops
over there,
over there.
Maybe we'll see if we can set it up, and it's mildly tough because I have active kids and Chris has active kids.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe we'll try and do that on a Sunday when we're usually closed by 6.
There you go.
And we can just do a podcast afterwards.
That'd be fun.
Make it happen.
I'm in.
Let's do it.
All right.
We got internet and Wi-Fi and electrical out there. We're
Don't
pretty
threaten
civilized.
me with a good time.
Yeah, we're pretty civilized.
All right. Well, you know. What's also very civilized is the German Word of the Day competition.
It's not that civilized.
And we're about to hear the winners.
It's testing sometimes.
Oh, I'm so excited for this one.
Okay. See, he was laughing before.
It's going to be great.
Get it.
Okay.
Is the winner who does the most creative Like,
I like the think
interpretation.
Yes, that's the winner.
You know, I wasn't explaining the rules.
There aren't any winners.
When I said center
There are
page.
only
he just
I am the winner here.
Oh man.
every time.
Okay, the German word of the day is Sesselfurger.
Correct.
Which means... Oh, sorry. Let's go over.
Go through the guesses.
Jerid says centrifuge.
I think that's the front runner.
Good
Kevin
brewing
says Frusenglaser.
Right, of course. Meaning it's German for a
Ice cream.
marketing term for
bougie ice cream.
Bougie ice cream.
Well marketed. Okay. And the other Jerid says mini fridge.
Mini fridge.
All excellent guesses, guys. But it actually translates literally to armchair farter.
Wow.
Yeah, someone who performs a sedentary job is a Sesselfurger. So if you just sit there and type all day, you're a Sesselfurger.
Okay, now which one of us is he referring to?
Well,
because he sometimes makes it contextual.
Jerid literally said, "I'm just going to stand for a while. I've been sitting all day." I was like, "Oh, I got the perfect word for you."
I was in meetings most of the rest of the day.
Oh man!
Not that I just pulled that out for that.
Oh,
But
fair.
Pretty
I
sure
don't
you
know.
did.
I am a
Armchair
12-year-old at heart, so I saw
Yep.
something with farts, and I'm like, I'm in.
Well, you know, one
Who's
day
ready to hotbox?
I was watching something on television. This is a long time ago, and they had a machine, a walking machine that some German guy invented, and it was basically like mechanical legs.
Yeah.
But in German, it was the Fußfarter,
The
and
Fußfarter.
it meant the foot walker. It meant,
Walker.
yeah, it was interesting.
Fußfarter.
The Fußfarter.
All right.
Yeah, foot. I guess farting is
Yeah.
walking. You know.
Yeah.
And if you can do both, you know, you're in control.
Wow.
So,
Of course.
yes. Mr. Jerid, we really appreciate you joining us, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Good time. Love to hear about the brewery and
Sure.
and all the stuff you guys got going on. It's great. We got to get over there. I really like that idea.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Producer of heading over there.
Solid. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Solid producing ideas.
He's the idea man.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yep.
And if you like this episode, you click that subscribe button. You'll get the latest one beamed right into your mailbox or showing up on your app. And there's a few others behind us, behind this one. How many episodes are we up to?
700.
Oh, wow.
We'll put 'em on the spot.
Man, I have no idea.
More than 14.
7.
Yeah.
We're halfway through our
I have
third
no idea.
season, so
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
that is.
Halfway through the third.
That's
Right.
fun.
Yeah.
How
Look
about
at us
that?
go.
Yeah,
Right.
fantastic.
Everybody thought it would only last one season, but it's 3.
We thought he'd last one show. So thank you for
You got to keep hope in your heart.
for sure. Yeah, we appreciate everybody listening and going
very
along for
much.
the ride. And for our friends Jerid and Jerid and Mr. Chris Ron, I'm Kevin Ostie, and we say Prost.
Our recording.
Okay.
All right, that means
Tammy said she wants more BS at the end of the episodes.
We got a BS at the beginning then, I guess.
Well, all right.
All
Here
right.
it is.
Hold on, let me write that down.
More
BS.
Do you have your...
End of episode.
Works pretty well, actually.
Topical BS or just random? BS?
No, random.
All right.
do you have your word of the day?
It feels forced. Yeah, I got it now.
You, usually you're like
Nope, I'm on
struggling at the
No.
last second.
No,
to
not
get
me.
ready.
Here's
I'm a pro.
Here's a heads up. He laughed out loud
Oh,
at his word.
okay.
of the day, so
You lulled.
we're screwed.
I lolled for sure.
right,
Oh,
everybody's-
and did I tell you we're doing the Jerid episode first?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay.
Not that Jerid episode.
Not you.
Not the
this
Jerid
one.
episode. The
Jeez.
Jerid.
You people.
This
All
is the Jerid episode now.
All right.
All right, we strapped in. We ready to go?
I think so.
All right.
Yes.